What's up everyone? Today's Geeky Acrylics video continues on with my DIY custom Funko Pop series. This is all about sculpting, so if you want to completely change the look of your pop or add fun accessories and you want to know how to do that, I'll show you my method. It's not the only method and there are other clays that you can use. I'm mainly going to be talking about the one that I prefer to use, and that is polymer clay. It's pretty much a non-toxic plastic clay, and I use Super Sculpting. There's a bunch of different brands, but this is what I prefer to buy, a 1 pound, it's like a brick of Super Sculpting Original. It works really great. It's not an air dry clay, meaning I can literally leave it on my art desk and come back to it later. And even this Chloe Funko Pop I'm working on here, I sat the head there for 3 days uncovered and came back, and I could pick up right where I left off. So it's really great for people who are limited in time. So you basically just get this big block and you cut off pieces as you need it. And it's basically like heat activated, like you condition it in your hands, like the warmth of your hands. Just kneading this clay is what's going to condition it and get it ready to use. So, once you get it all softened up, you can basically apply it directly to the pop. I will link a video here that I previously discussed prepping your pop prior to painting or sculpting. And it talks about some ways you can prep it, some options that you have, but this is just about the Super Sculpting clay and the actual sculpting itself. If you read online about it, they'll tell you that you probably don't want to store it for long term in like plastic, like Tupperware type bowls, because it is a plastic clay. Over time it can bond with the plastic tub, but I do leave it in Ziploc bags, and that tends to work really well for me. I don't really leave it in there for long periods of time. I use my clay pretty frequently, so I haven't had any problems leaving it in the Ziploc. Now, with Super Sculpting, you have, different directions that you're going to have for any type of clay that you use. So you just want to read the package. The baking temperatures for Super Sculpting are going to be different than that of like Fimo and other brands of polymer clay that you can find at your local arts and crafts store. I know they have like several different ones you can choose from at like craft stores like Michael's. So for me, this is just what I prefer to use. So it's not like a clay that you would use back in school when you'd have to heat it in one of those big kilns, or it would just never cure. This does have to go in an oven to actually bake. It has to be baked at a specific temperature for a specific amount of time. And don't be scared to put your pop in there. Like I said, I do use Super Sculpting, so for the heat on that is like 275 for 15 minutes per 1/4 of an inch thickness. So if you use a different brand, it may have to require a slightly higher temperature, but for Super Sculpting, I know it works with pop figures. You can put your pop in there. It'll get soft from the heat, but it will not melt. And I've had very, very minor warping, usually around the little flat disc that connects the head to the body. But that's really it. You do want to be mindful of some shrinking. I have found that accessories that I have made slightly shrinked or maybe somewhat changed shape in the process. So I don't really notice a lot of that, but it has happened. So just be mindful of that when you're sculpting like hats and things like that. And I'm actually going to talk about sculpting hats in a upcoming video. But it's really easy to work with. Like I said, you can come and go as you please, and your Super Sculpting project will still be good. It usually just takes a second or two to warm it back up Like the Chloe head, I started working on the hair. I came back a couple days later, and just by holding it, moving it around in my hands to sculpt like the back part of the head, the rest of the hair starts to soften, and that's basically how it works. So you don't want to keep it anywhere. Don't store your clay anywhere hot, like near an oven or like a lamps, or anywhere like a sunny window where it's going to get too hot, because then your clay could start trying to cure and become, unusable. But I've never had any problems with clay coming out of storage, just leaving it in a cool place inside of a Ziploc bag. And as far as tools go, honestly, when you're just starting out, you really don't need anything specific. Some artists say they just use whatever they find around the house, like carving details in with things like toothpicks. You can really use your fingers. Like I use my thumb to like smooth out a lot of areas on the pop, so you don't have to invest a lot of money in the start. You can literally buy a cheap pop, get a brick of clay, and that 1 pound brick is going to go really far. I did a couple of full custom pops and still had some left over, and I think I did a 4-piece coaster set as well from just the one block. So it goes a really, really long way. And I did buy a cheap set of tools. So say you buy the 15-pound brick on Amazon, you could probably get like a $8 to $10 pack of cheap, like little wooden tools. But you don't really have to invest in anything crazy, and I don't even know the proper way to use all the tools. I literally just use whatever works best with me. I'm just playing around and teaching myself. So it's kind of trial and error. I use this little carving tool here to make lines in the hair, or carve little details into like shoes and shirts and things like that, or use it to leave little holes or details. So it's just, this is a 7-piece set that I bought from Michaels. It was $13 to $14. I used a coupon. I usually wait for Michaels to do their 30 or 40% off, and then I buy the Sculpey and tools and stuff that way. But yeah, again, don't need a lot to get started. It's a great way to learn how to sculpt and just take your time, play around with it, and have fun. You can sculpt little accessories separately and bake them on the same sheet as you do, your pop. I know I did like a circular base, like a drink coaster size base for one of my previous pops. The full time lapse is coming soon on that one. And I did a bunch of little accessories like PS4 and PS4 controllers and things like that. So there's a lot of different things you can do to add to your pop. So don't limit yourself to just changing the hair or the outfit. You can sculpt all kinds of things. I think that the bases are a really nice touch, so you have something to sit your pop on, and you can accessorize and make a cool theme. For my best friend, I did a pop where she's sitting on a base because she's a gamer and a Twitch streamer. So she's got her PS4 and her PS4 controller, one in her hand and one sitting on the base. And I'm going to paint it PS4 colors and stuff. So, yeah, just have fun with it. Mix and match different pop heads and bodies and sculpt it. So, yeah, you got a lot of options, and I'm going to be putting out another video, so it'll probably be another week. So hopefully this video will suffice for now, and I hope you will like and subscribe if you want to see more, if you haven't already done so, and I will be back soon with more geeky acrylics art videos. Thank you.